Yours is quite pretty. You should cherish it. A mortal has but one, although she wears many. Brave or bare, pale or plain, little is said, but in time all is written, in forests of grey or in barren canyons of earth. And when the night draws its curtains on twin suns, all that is left is nothing. All that was is hollow. Tell me, my lady, of what do I speak? Correct. You understand then that to wear many faces and to be without a face is the essence of life, and only in death do we return to the one. But that was then. Such limitations do not apply for those who turn the dead into the living. Perhaps you would like to volunteer that lovely face of yours for a makeover, before the worms decorate it with freckles? If you wish to hear my credentials first, then know that I am a disciple of the hollow-faced men of Nohotogra and the witches of Devil Rock. Yet, I digress, for what you require first is a name. I am Yetrail, a sculptor of the dead. I am returning to Morrowind from a 50-year pilgrimage across the deserts of Valakir. I spent 40 years in the service of the Hollow Faces, learning the bending of bone and the dance of flesh. I spent another decade studying under the ancient covens of Devil Rock to study the art of bestial transformation. When I finished my training, it occurred to me that those who ply their trade in deceit could use my services, so I decided to return to Morrowind. Yet the Morig tongue is no more, and the guilds are as brittle as the undead. Skin changers, flesh dancers, the tribe of the wandering faces, the hollow-faced men of Nohotogra go by many names. Like the chirurgeons of Cloudrest and the slave sculptors of Ayleid lore, they are masters of the art of molding flesh. Yes, as their existence is as much folklore as their abilities, I trekked to Hammerfell, unsure if my steps were made in vain. For 7 days and 7 nights I marched across the dunes of Alikir. I collapsed on a nameless dune, surrendering to the heat and the vultures that loomed overhead. Yet, as the birds descended, their faces lost all expression, their eyes as hollow as midnight. As it turns out, they were not vultures, but men, nomads, crossing the desert. I needed for water first, and for direction second. The 3 nomads obliged, and led the way. What is it? The next morning I woke up and was startled to find myself surrounded by 3 new guides, each bearing no similarity to the last.
The people of Skyrim have very dirty
Don't be
minds.
afraid to put...
They're the most innocent
Must we
springs,
prattle
and
on
they all
about the
get wrong
particulars?
idea.
I would much rather spend time in the arms of a
Suppose you're
young
bit like that
adventurer.
as well.
A bed of sand may be as soft as a cloud, but individually each grain is extremely coarse. The ancient stonecutters would lay out a line of sand over a block of granite, then run a saw over that line. It is not the same type of saw we use to cut wood. The saw has no edge. It is there simply to apply pressure. The sand serves as its teeth. The sand scalpels of the hollow-faced men are made by binding grains of sand to a small, edgeless knife. The end product is a blade that can shape and cut bone as easily as a man shaves his beard. Your face is indeed impressive, but I would hesitate to call it perfect. Nevertheless, it matters not. I have not touched living flesh in some time. To say that I am out of practice would be generous. Instead, I have focused all of my resources on sculpting the undead. Restoration. I'm sure you have noticed, but healing potions, spells, and incantations do not repair the dead. Restoring dead flesh, even if it were as pristine as yours, is inconceivable without the knowledge of darker arts. I can shape the skull, mold the cartilage, and bind dyes to their pupils to give their eyes luster. Yet, incisions must be made, and incisions can leave scars. A coven native to the coast, a league or two north of the Dragontail Mountains. In truth, I would have followed any coven, but after my time in the desert, I longed to see the ocean. Witchcraft naturally aligns with my interests. The ability to transform the body, to lengthen bones and expand the heart is an important skill. It is said the Glenmoral witches once took flight as ravens, and their spells could cure lycanthropy. There was still much I had wished to learn from the beldam of the coven, but such knowledge was only available to the most devoted of supplicants. Yes, they are quite protective of their dens. I would suggest making allies with those who have ties to a sect. Isn't it obvious? How can I be a sculptor of the dead without dead people to sculpt? I appreciate your willingness to help. Yes, you may be able to assist me. I am not in need of a fresh corpse, but an old one. You see, upon entering Skyrim, my carriage was sacked by a group of bandits, and I was relieved of some personal effects. Foremost among them was a male hip bone widened to resemble a female's, crafted by a body sculptor. One of my former masters kept it as a souvenir, an oddity one puts on a desk to start a conversation. However, as a young apprentice bored with magic, it became the very catalyst for my life's pursuit. As my skill improved, I gravitated toward the more difficult arts, the more delicate flesh, none more so than the faces of the undead. Yet it all began with that single sculpted hip bone, one given to me as a parting gift when I left for Hammerfell. As the bandits unloaded my belongings, I overheard one of them discussing his future plans. Something about setting up camp overlooking a sleeping giant. His words only confused me, but perhaps you will be able to make sense of it. Excellent. I look forward to having my items returned to me. Some are dear to me for sentimental reasons. Others are vital for resuming my practice. And I assure you, if you do this for me, you will be handsomely rewarded. The High Elves have long been obsessed with their appearance, namely maintaining a similarity to their ancestral Aldmer. In time, the practice extended to other, more practical uses. Highborn often have their faces chiseled to maintain the appearance of youth. Thieves, criminals, and necromancers will pay a large sum to change their identity. The chirurgeons of Cloudrest accommodate them all. It is well known that the Aliads kept entire stables full of slaves, relying on their labor to build their shrines and monuments. Back then, slaves were valuable commodities. Stronger specimens, like yourself for instance, would be highly valued on the market. Of course, it is believed this led to underground operations, where the bodies of weaker slaves would be modified to appear robust.
Damn it! Honestly, you guys reproduce like bunnies or something.
Well met. Do you like bones, friend? I like bones. You're welcome to touch mine. That's my collection over there. I like to look at them when I sleep. It's like a big puzzle. There's so many types, and they all fit together. Yes, backbones are very interesting. So many little segments, like a centipede. I killed some bandits the other day. They had such nice bones, and not just inside them. Oh yes, I've gotten quite good at it too. Can't build a tent or start a fire, so I let the bandits do it. I kill them while they sleep, and then I take their bones. Hips are my favorite. Shaped like a butterfly, except they aren't made of butter, but bone. Don't know. I can never get too close to them. I'm afraid of things that don't have bones. About 3 years ago, lost everything to bandits. Should have listened to that traveling carpenter. He was replacing the logs around the village. I almost said yes, until he started trying to sell me on replacing the floorboards. What's an imperial no about fine North craftsmanship? So I told him to peddle his snake oil somewhere else. A month later, bandits raided my home. Came right through the front door. They robbed me, beat me, left me for dead. I could reach into my stomach and touch my insides. It was real soft, not like bone. I slumped to the ground, laying my back on the wood. It was rough to the touch. My hand caught a splinter. I thought, even in my final moments, the gods still saw fit to mock me. But when I turned to look at my hand, I saw something rocking gently under the bed. It was an elf potion. No, divines didn't save me. I was alive but not safe. I started wandering around, sleeping in abandoned tents and moldy caves. But one day I found a cave that was warm, had clean beds, stocks of food. I couldn't believe my luck, too tired to think it was the bad kind. I slept better than I had in years. Would have slept right through my own death when the bandits came home. That is, if not for the rattle by the entrance. Clack, 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 clack. Heard it loud and clear. Bones. Sweet, wonderful bones. I picked up my axe and ambushed the bandits in their own home. But in the end, it was the bones that saved me. I hoped you would ask me about my bones. I have all kinds. Orc spines, elf legs, and little chicken bones you can wear around your neck. The hands are made from a kajit, I think. A lot of sand in the joints. The fingers are fun to look at. So many little bones. I also have a nice set of hip bones with me too. But it's not part of the collection. Because they're confusing. By Hizmir's beard, I can't tell whether they belong to a man or a woman. It's very important I know what type of bone I'm handling. Because sometimes I like to put the bones back together. Helps pass the time on the cold days. But I won't put male bones with female bones, or mix human ones with elves. That's an affront to the gods, and I won't be a part of it. Hips are my favorite. Shape it. Oh no, you can't put a price on bones. That's just wrong. Alright then. The backbone connects to the backbone. The backbone connects to the neck bone.
so much fun. The thrill of almost getting caught is more addictive than skooma. Oh right, yeah, now's not the time for talking.
Don't be afraid to put on a brave face. Marvelous. And with minimal damage, I see. Although these stains are rather curious. In any case, you have my thanks. The item was incredibly dear to me, as are you for returning it. As such, you have certainly earned your reward. I must say it is most handsome, but it was not always so. This Orc Skull has been carved to resemble a human. It is by far one of my proudest achievements as a sculptor. I filed off the tusks and contracted the jaw using techniques practiced by the ancient yoku dance for binding feet. It was a passing fancy of mine to sculpt orcs into humans before I found my true calling as a sculptor of the undead. When my name is known throughout Tamriel, this skull may be considered a priceless historical artifact, a symbol of a road almost taken. You won't. You can't. Such is the skill and care I put into sculpting it. My only regret is that this orc no longer lives. For his skin would tell you his true ancestry, even if his bone structure did not. But do not fret. I am sure Skyrim is home to at least one shopkeeper who is discerning enough to recognize its worth. Safe travels. Thank you again for your help.